Alright, behind the scenes.
Alright.
See what's happening work today.
So this is gaps in flooring, and this gets you all prepared so you don't have to put on the work order needs whiz anymore. They help. So yeah, I get a lot of those. But so what I like to do is take disinfectant wipes, because it seems like anytime you get this work order, this floor's been separated for a while. And it is just nasty in these cracks and stuff. It can be nasty. But I like to take disinfectant wipes, clean out that crack real good, or the best you can. You know, you'll have to take a knife sometimes and scrape and everything. But get it as clean as best you can. I like to use this clear Gorilla glue. The reason I like this glue is it sets up in 2 hours. Make sure you get the kind that's non-foaming. It'll actually say
you got a sand.
yeah. And, I mean, it's like spray foaming. So get the kind that says non-foaming. I like to take a little bit right in there, and I put it kind of heavy, I ain't gonna lie. And then that's where this tool comes in. So this is from, I don't know, I've seen it on the
internet.
yeah, and I had Stephanie order it for me. So I've had it for a while. I wore the finish off of it. I used to be able to take it and just grip to the floor. It had like some kind of 3M tape pre-made on it, and I could just pick up planks like that. But I wore the finish off on it, so that's where I started using double-sided tape. And I actually like it better because, like the first time I used this tool was in a vacant unit, and I was like, man, this is awesome. It's the best tool ever. Went right across the hallway to the next door. Apartment was clean. Everything. As soon as I used this tool, dirty. Man, it was like someone just trimmed my beard, and it was all over this tool, you know. Yeah. And I cleaned and cleaned, and I never, eventually would get it clean, but I mean, it just took forever to wash it. So after I wore the finish off, I actually like the tape better. But I mean, you can see that double-sided tape, carpet tape, it grips, and it's indoor-outdoor carpet tape. But it's not going to be that simple. I'm just going to be honest with you. But I can get every seam with this tool. I haven't ran into one that I have not been able to get yet. If it's just gaps, I can take, separate it this way, about 50% of the time. But as far as this way, I can get it every time. Say you don't have this tool, I'm going to start leaving it here in the shop for anyone that needs it, instead of just keeping it on me, so you get those work orders. But say we don't have this tool, as long as you got the indoor-outdoor carpet tape, you can take the block of wood, and it works too. So, I'll show you something too.
So when we're doing it, how do you get the double-sided tape on this?
It'll rub up.
Okay. All right. So it comes up pretty easy. Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a certain way we need to be hitting them?
Now, I mean, you just gotta see where your gap is, and start at one side, and kind of go with it. Now, when we do these gaps and everything, anytime we open up a gap, we fill it in with that glue. There may be times that you just got to chase that whole row. Me and Mikhail's been doing a bunch of these lately. We'll try to do we'll try to go on down like 3 boards down and try to drive multiple rows together, but I ain't gonna promise you. Sometimes you just gotta do every individual board and just chase the whole row. Anytime we open one up, we put glue in it. Now, some things, what we have done in the past, still, if we can get to the wall, This tool right here is pretty cool. It's floor jack. If I don't take the baseboard off, I will take my multi-tool and cut a little groove right here. And the reason I like to leave the baseboard up is so I'm not punching a hole in the wall. But I'll set that right there. And I can drive that whole row together. You get what I'm saying? And I can move the whole row. But at times you will run into that start cupping, and then you're just gonna have to use this tool.
What do you do about your gap at the end?
So it depends on how big of a gaps I'm having to fill. If I know that my quarter round will cover it, I'm not afraid to use that tool. If I come up and I see a gap like this, I'm pretty sure that quarter round's not going to cover it, you know. So, but that's just what I like to do though. If I do take the baseboard off, I like to take a bead of caulking. And I'll caulk down that wall after I get all my gaps fixed on one side. I'll caulk down this wall. Pretty good bead, you know. And I mean, I won't rub it in where it's flat, you know. I'll leave a pretty good bead there. And my thoughts on that, I don't know if it works or not, but just my theory on it. It still allows it to flex and move, but it's not going to allow it to slide underneath that drywall. What happens is, a lot of times that baseboard, that flooring may just be barely underneath it, you know. So then what happens is you've got sheetrock. They always hang sheetrock, you know, like a half inch above the floor. You don't set sheetrock all the way down on concrete floor. So we're going to draw moisture. So that's why I like to caulk that. So you take with the sheetrock, which is probably 5/8 in our apartment. You take the other side of the wall, you've gained over an inch right there before it can move. Then you take some of our kitchen cabinets, they've just laid the floor knowing that the cabinets are going to cover, so that flooring can probably move like 2 feet, you know, or a foot and a half underneath that cabinet. What I do usually there is I just get close to the toe kick and maybe put a brad nail or something. That's probably not right. That's how I do it. Yeah, but like I said, this tool here, pretty handy. Double-sided carpet tape. Get you by. All it is, I'll put things down. Normally I just put one down because I stand on that, but I was having trouble. I didn't have enough weight behind me. Just put this down here. Put your piece down on your block. It's that simple, man, for the most part. Our subfloor here is nice, real smooth. You may not be running into that, but I haven't ran into one that I couldn't get yet. Clean out that crack real good so it can walk together. You may have to, once you get to one side, you may have to tap right here. You know what I'm saying? If there's two of you, it makes it real easy. One guy can be tapping, but if you use your foot or whatever, stomping, driving at the same time, you get locked in. Make sure you glue every joint. That'll help eliminate that, at least it'll be locked together. A lot of times too, I'll go in and I'll cut like in a doorway or something. We may have a row that's separating three or four spots. And it goes from the living room through the hallway through the bedroom. And like I said, you may have several separate gaps in that area. So I'll cut and put a transition. Usually I use metal, but I had a wooden one on X-Base. So I'll put a transition in the doorway, and I'll drive one side where it needs to go, where it gets those gaps in, and I'll put that transition in, and that'll hide that gap. Here it is. So a 4 putty, most times, once we get this work order, you may have a damaged edge or something. You know, I like to use 4 putty. I like to use crazy glue with the brush. So what I'll do is, once I get the all locked together and everything, those little chips that are missing out of it, I'll put a 4 putty in it, and I'll take that brush off that crazy glue, and I'll just gently brush that glue on, and that kind of soaks into that, sets it hard, you can sand it, everything looks pretty good, but it's not going to come out. Makes sense. It's a pretty simple job. This is pretty neat. We got dips in the floor and stuff like that. You drill like a 1/8 inch hole, put this tube in it, squeeze, and that will level out underneath the floor. You can get rid of that dip if they've used like a tap block system type floor. Tap block goes a little different than this. These lock in side to side. Tap block kind of overlays and take a rubber mallet and tap it together. A lot of times what we run into is there's just a low spot, so every time you walk on that, it breaks the tongue on, but you can get it back together and glue it. Something like that, level underneath, and you just put it on the top. But this is how good this sticks, though. I mean, when you take it up, you gotta be careful not to pull your floor apart. But yeah, that's the bottom of it. Like I said, it used to have a good finish on it. I wore it off. But I mean, it's white on this, and you can still.
Better than that other one they had.
Yeah, this is pretty good. I like this tool.